It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. We need to be as leaders above all of this. We cannot be leaders and act as dirty and start throwing dirt at each other. Leaders lead by example. Leaders don't lead by criticizing others. If you have nothing else to offer, just the dirt on somebody else, then I doubt your leadership. Leaders need to stand up on their own feet and prove to the rest of them that you can follow me because I am the leader and I can lead with integrity, honesty, and trust. Thank you.
Well, that's an easy question for me because I don't deal with Twitter. Twitter, is that what you call it? Twitter? I've come to the conclusion that we have to have an end at some point. All this Twitter, this and that. I mean, Facebook is all right, and I don't even like to use Instagram, to tell you the truth. So I think that if I become chairman of the board, I'm going to have everyone's I'm going to depressurize everybody by using a sane and sensible way of communicating. I think Facebook is good. An official Facebook page for the office, I think, is sufficient. I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to be tweeting in the middle of the night about whatever. So that's my answer. But I also want to mention in reference to the situation dealing with John. John and I talked about it, and I take his word. I believe, some of these things happen, and I think that he meant well, I believe, but I don't think we should keep going on and on and on because we're spending more time talking about that incident than educating young people, economic development, transportation, and the reporters who reported that, you would think that they would have more to say beside that. Thank you.
The next question, we'll start with Ms. Wheeler. The current chairman of the Prince William Board likes to say that he was Donald Trump before Trump was Trump. What contemporary national political figure would you compare yourself with in terms of style or substance, and why?
Definitely not Trump. Definitely not Trump. I'm trying to think of our plethora of Democratic candidates, and not necessarily any of those either. If I had someone to look up to, it might be Barack Obama. In terms of someone who has no drama and was even keeled. And when I think back of the 8 years that he was in the White House, and there were no scandals, and there was nothing. I mean, there were people picking on him in the news, but there were no scandals. And I just want to bring Prince William County some integrity to Prince William County, where the story isn't about the chairman or who's leading. The story isn't about the board or the people or the personalities. The story is about how well the county is doing and how we're bringing in business. I don't think the story should really ever be about me. And so I want to be the kind of leader that brings some kind of consistency and stability to our county, something I think that we've lacked for a long, long time, given our current chair and some of the vocal opinions that he took while he was campaigning for all the other offices that he was holding while he was in office. So, I would probably say Barack Obama, and no drama. Thank you.
I don't think I can relate to anyone because I'm a person who likes to learn. And as we look through the history, there are several examples of several leaders, and each one has a unique capacity and capability that they brought to the table. You look at, George Bush Sr., you look at Nixon, you look at, John F. Kennedy, you look at Obama. There are a lot of people in there that have served this country and bring a lot of different unique capacities to the table. And when I look at it as a leadership for myself, definitely not Trump, I look at kind of what can it take from all these leaders and bring that to the county. Whether somebody was strong in foreign affairs, in this case, dealing with the state, dealing with the federal government, kind of leveraging that skill set, whether somebody was more, into the social services and stuff like that, because we have a multitude of problems in front of us. We have got a lot of distraction going on in the county right now. We want to focus on the issues. How do we solve this problem? And there is not a single leader that can provide me all the answers to that. I have to basically look from different leaders and basically kind of learn from them how they did things, and basically take that as a lesson and move forward with that, rather than kind of saying, I can follow one or the other.
In terms of myself, I would say that I'll just mention these two people, Barack Obama and also Susan Collins. I'm a low-key, no-drama type person. And if I become chairman of the board, I would rather be known for my deeds versus what I say. If no one knows me, but they know the deeds that I've done, that serves me well. Thank you.
I could consider Ronald Reagan contemporary.
Sure.
Ronald Reagan, without a doubt. I remember as a kid going all the way back to the dark ages by some standards, okay. GE Theater and what he did there. I thought he was a great president. I always admired him. And but the question was, how do you want me to identify him as a?
Why would you compare yourself to him?
Well, I wouldn't compare myself to Ronald Reagan. I just think Ronald Reagan was a very good president. I liked his policies. I agreed with just about everything he did. Was he without sin? Of course not. And Barack Obama had plenty of scandals. If you don't think Benghazi was a scandal, then we need to redefine the word scandal, fast and furious. There are a number of scandals. There's no administration that can go without a scandal. Right? So to say Barack Obama didn't have scandals is being very short-sighted. But to answer the question, it's Ronald Reagan. I thought he did a lot of good for the country. He brought us out of, after Jimmy Carter's failed presidency, the economics that he brought to the country. It was right in my wheelhouse at that time. I had just become self-employed in 1980 as a CPA. So I followed him all the way through, but unquestionably, Ronald Reagan.
Mr. Begg, we'll start with you for this next question. None of us likes to make mistakes. Unfortunately, most of mine happen on live television. But I'd like to ask each of you to share with us a mistake you've made, either in your work position or in the public realm. Tell us what you learned from it and how you rectified it, and let's see if we can do this one in a 1-minute response. Mr. Begg?
That's a hard one, to be honest with you. I will let my kids and my wife tell me if I have made one. But one of the things that I have always had in my life is, even when I was working for Microsoft and stuff like that, I used to go to my manager, because managers always give you kudos when you do something right. But they only, give you the other end of it because when you basically mess up. My one-on-ones used to be, don't tell me what I'm doing right, because you already told me when I did that. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. What is my area of improvement that needs to be kind of addressed? I tell that to my kids today, that basically if there is something that I have told you not to do and I'm doing it, you have the same right to correct me as I have to correct you, because that's how we live our lives. And I have lived a life of principles, and I have lived a life where I have been basically looking in the mirror almost every time to what did I do wrong and how do I fix it. And that helps me to kind of stay focused and stay on the track.
I would say a mistake that I made once, more than once really, is being sometimes a little bit too candid. You have people that say they want an honest opinion, they want your candid opinion about whatever, so if you give someone an honest and candid opinion, sometimes you suffer reprisals from that. And I think that was some of the mistakes that I've made, but it's a mistake that I may continue to make. Thank you.
I don't think there's any question the biggest mistake I made was Twitter. Yes, I admitted it. I issued an apology. There is no law that requires that I keep my apology on my Facebook page. Right? It was posted there. It was sent to every news outlet. I've eaten humble pie. I've beaten myself to death over it. I don't know what more I can do to apologize. I did not mean anything. Anybody who knows me absolutely knows I'm not a racist, I'm not a bigot, anything along those lines. I should have had better judgment, there's no question on that. But I've apologized for it, and I have absolutely learned by it. And if somebody can't accept that, that's not my problem.
So I've made a lot of mistakes in business, I'm thinking over the years, personal, and my key is I'd like to learn from my mistakes. If they're painful, don't want to make the same mistake twice is sort of how I go about it. I'm just thinking about small mistakes like letting my husband build an office in the house so he works out of the house more. That was a critical mistake. Recently I had an event at my house a year and a half ago, and I said, oh, it's raining, no one's gonna show up, because it was an outdoor event. I said, oh, it's raining, no one's gonna show up, and actually twice as many people showed up as possible. It was a hubris of thinking that I actually knew what was gonna happen. And so, these days, I like to learn from my mistakes, but also, when I'm making decisions, talk to other people. When I'm making big decisions, I talk to other people, so I try not to make the life-changing mistakes, and just make sure I'm always learning from my mistakes.
We're going to continue with the 1-minute rapid-fire round. We've all talked quite a bit about economic development and growing the tax base. What would you as chairman do specifically to grow the county's economic base on the business side beyond retailers and data centers? So other than retailers and data centers, what would you do specifically to grow the tax base? Mr. Scoggins is first, yeah.
Okay, you say what I do? Well, I would like to say what we will do. I think that I is a small word, What I would do is, or what we would do is, we would like to we should create an economic development authority that will have the jurisdiction or have the, I would say the authority or the power to go out and actually drum up business for the county. Prince William County is a very good place to live and work, but people need to know that we are open for business. We need to be more aggressive. Even Fredericksburg and Stafford is even more aggressive than Prince William County when it comes to this economic development. So the first thing I would do is pull the economic development folks together in the county and see what we can do to be more aggressive and perhaps work on coming up with an economic development authority that can go into public-private partnerships to do certain things. Thank you.
Me now? 25 years, we work together in business, Chamber of Commerce and stuff, so I say this with politeness and all that stuff. We already have an economic development authority.
No,
Okay? Well, no, the Department of Economic Development.
Department of Economic Development, not an
Right, that does have an economic development authority, we have an industrial development authority. I think we have to redirect that. We have targeted industries that the county's been looking at and bringing a lot of that here, but they're not in our top 10 of our businesses that we have here. So I think there has to be a re-gearing of what the Economic Development Authority is looking at and what kind of businesses we want to bring here. Because as I've been saying this whole evening and every other one, we need to get jobs, jobs, jobs. Government jobs, right, are not the jobs that we need to bring here. If we can, that's fine, but we need private corporations coming into Bridgeport.
So I've been thinking a lot about this. I think we could use auxiliary businesses that are related to the data centers, ones that service them or might need to be near them because they want to have high speed data and processing capabilities. So there might be people like that we could bring in. I would like to promote agritourism, because that will help preserve the rural area if we can bring agritourism and have different places to go. I'd also start a small business incubator. I know there's people who are interested in doing that and could lead that effort, and I think that's something that would be exciting. And last but not least, I would immediately try to work on getting a medical school. We're already studying it, a medical school to the GMU campus. I think that at Western Prince William, that would be a game changer for Prince William County. People are talking about it. I've already got some contacts, and I think I would work really hard to make that happen because that would expand the biotechnology businesses that are related over at the GMU STEM campus.
Just an FYI, the biotech is already there. The medical campus is already coming, so it's already in process. There is already stuff has been done. So what I will do, being a small business owner and being involved with Chairman for the last 9 years now, I have spoken at many conferences. Like I know the pains of the small business. What is most needed for small business? We have a lot of retail in the county, there is no doubt, but we need to move into the other areas, whether it be technology, IT related, whether it be manufacturing, whether it be other things. We need to create incentive programs what the small businesses need. Our current county system of actually registering a small business is a little bit cumbersome. It's taxing for a small business. Streamlining this process, allowing small businesses to come into the county and grow. That would be my job to do as a chairman. help those technology companies that where the people have to drive to DC and Fairfax to get that 100,000, 150,000 job, bring them here, create the small business development contractor businesses. There's a lot of those in Stafford. Why can't we have them in Prince William?
Yes, go ahead.
Can we do a wild card now? Okay. Question about economic development other than data centers, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't talk the talk, I walk the walk. 16 years ago, Sean Connaughton pulled 5 people together, and I was one of those 5, and gave us a directive, form the community health center. None of us knew what the community health center was. It took us 3 years to pull this community health center together. And the sole remaining founder still serving on that board, and it's one of my pride and joys, it really is. Right? We serve approximately 47,000 citizens in Prince William County. Right? We have 140 employees, generate $14 million in revenues, none of that with county tax dollars. So I've been part of that for the last 16 years, and I'm very proud of it. So I've helped to create economic development in Prince William County. And we have 3 locations. Community Health Center provides health services to people who are underserved medically and those who do not have health insurance. Very proud of the Community Health Center.
Okay, continuing on.
Real quick, we have an economic development department. That's different than the economic development authority that would have the rights, so to speak, to even float revenue bonds to do some of the larger finance things that need to be dealt with to make Prince William County a more robust economic development. So those are 2 different things. The Economic Development Department to deal with small business and some of the certain things that are related to businesses under a certain dollar amount, but the Economic Development Authority would go and could deal with public-private partnerships. I've always looked at the PRTC lot, which to me is dead revenue over there because it's not bringing in anything. That could be a perfect place for a convention conference center, and that could just open up that particular area right off of 95. So we need to look at some of the big things and not just sort of be tinkering around the edges that has been done for too long in the county. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Scoggins, we'll start with you. I'm sorry. Okay. Mr. Gray?
Oh.
Okay, we'll start with you. Prince William is one of 2 jurisdictions in Virginia that maintain 287G agreements with immigration and customs enforcement. It's resulted in some 6,500 inmates being turned over to ICE, while participation in a decision of a sheriff. What is your view of this cooperation and whether it should be continued?
I'm in absolute full support of maintaining the 287G agreement executed by the jail board, not the sheriff physically, the jail board, and its cooperation with ICE. Why? It's a public safety issue, not political ideology. 287G takes dangerous criminals off of the streets. How anybody can say they want to reduce public safety, I just don't understand that. Would anybody consider a candidate a serious candidate if he's going to tell you that he's going to direct the chief of police that when an officer pulls over somebody, if they have a warrant outstanding for anything, I'll just ignore that. We need to be more inclusive and welcoming. Where do we stop? Do we stop cooperating with DEA so that drug dealers can be welcomed here? Do we stop with ATF so terrorists can be here? It's the same question. I believe it's a matter of absolute public safety. It's not a political ideology, and I absolutely will continue that program.
So just to be clear, I don't want to bring criminals to the county. I'm not going to put out a sign that says welcome criminals. That's been floated. You know, the 287G program, whether we have it or not doesn't mean that we don't lock up serious criminals who you know, have serious offenses. We are one of 2 counties in the state that has a 287G program. Fairfax next door doesn't have one, Loudoun doesn't, but Fairfax is one of the safest counties in the United States. So to equate 287G program with public safety is not necessarily a good correlation. You know, for me, I think we need to have a comprehensive review of our immigration policies. I just want to understand how much the 287G program is costing us at the adult detention center. This is a federal responsibility. I don't want to spend local dollars. Lord knows we need them in other places on a federal responsibility. That said, it's up to the sheriff. The Board of County Supervisors is not party to the 287G, and the sheriff is the one who's would be enforcing it. To say that we are going to
Time is up, unless you'd like to speak to comments. Do you want your wild card? Sure.
To say that getting rid of 287G is going to make us a sanctuary county, first of all, sanctuary counties are illegal in Virginia, so that wouldn't happen. And there are a lot of counties like Rappahannock or Stafford that don't have 287G programs. And so to say that we're going to have a sanctuary county because we don't have a 287G program is nonsensical also. Do you know that I care about public safety? I care a lot about public safety. I don't talk about it because we have a good public safety in our county, but I am endorsed by the firefighters and the Virginia Police Benevolent Association.
287G, when you look at it, what is it? It's a tool against immigrants, for lack of a better word. That's what it is. We have come to a point where anybody who's an immigrant and has any kind of a status that's not fully documented, even though they might be having it 20 years, 30 years, somehow they're criminals. We need to stop looking at things from a different lenses that are being painted for us. We need to look at things from the human lens. At the end of the day, we're all human. Criminals belong in jails. Criminals belong in dark cells. There is no doubt about that. And that's what I will do. But at the same time, I will not allow families that are peaceful families to be broken apart and basically torn apart and handed over, where a child is living here and the mother is sent across the border to live somewhere else. That is not, I would not want somebody to do that to me, and I would not do somebody to anybody else. Thank you.
In reference to cooperating with 287G, unfortunately, just like many government programs, the 287G has too many flaws with it. So I think that I would not want to continue to cooperate with it until I know that it's fail-proof. But right now, I've talked to too many people and I've seen too many instances. As a matter of fact, I've even talked to some police officers who gave me some information about the 287G, and some of them are under pressure to how should I say, round people up. So I think that we should not cooperate with 287G. Thank you.
30 seconds.
287G is strictly law enforcement to turn over criminal illegal aliens to us. We don't have any authority to do that. In the 12 years existence of the program, there has not been one complaint about racial profiling. It's only enforced after the person is arrested, processed through the police department, and then transferred to the sheriff. At that point, they ask two questions: date of birth and place of origin. Then they check the ICE records. Then they see that that person has a detainer. That's when it's enforced. It's not enforced by the police.
I'm sorry to say it's time to turn to our closing statements. And Mr. Scoggins, we will begin with you. You will each have a minute, although Mr. Begg, you may add another, hope you can keep it, another 30 seconds because you did not use your wild card. You can if you want to take it. Yes. We're just trying to get wrapped up to keep everyone on schedule. So Mr. Scoggins, we begin with your closing statement.
2 minutes, is that?
1 minute. 1 minute.
I would just like to give my thanks to everyone who came out tonight to listen to us. And what I will also like to say is that in these several debates, forums, I like to call them forums, not debates, but these several sessions that we've had with the candidates, one thing that has not been asked, and I will be remiss if I do not say that, and that is, in all these great things after those that are vulnerable. I'm very concerned about some of the people who are in social services who are locked into that social service system. And it all starts at the local level. So if I'm become chairman of the Board of Supervisors, I'm going to see what I can do, or see what we can do to make sure that we get people off of social services so they can have productive lives. And lastly, I'll say this: wouldn't it be great to have a boring chairman for a change? That's what I plan to be. Thank you very much.
When I started, I said that you would see 4 different visions, and I think you'll see that. my vision is again on three things. Public safety, I want to enforce 287G. It is absolutely a public safety issue. Number two, we have to reduce taxes. We need to reduce taxes to get jobs into Prince William County. Get jobs into Prince William County, people won't be commuting out of the county, and we can help reduce congestion. It's not going to happen overnight, it's not going to happen over 4 years, but we at least have to stop that. I will absolutely support and preserve the rural crescent, because that's what the ordinance has now. Right? If we don't, it's going to cost a couple of $100 million just to get it started. Guess who's going to pay that? You're going to pay for that, not developers. You're going to pay for it. So those are my four stances, four positions. On those four positions, I believe we can lead Prince William County into a brighter and more prosperous future. Thank you.
Thanks for everyone for coming out tonight. You know, I'm excited about the future of Prince William County. I think we have a lot of potential. And know that when you go in that ballot box on November 5th, or early if you do, there's lots of early voting for that plug-in, you know, we're at a crossroads. And the question is, where do you want to go in the future for the next 4, 8, 12 years in the county? There are real differences and real choices in front of you. I'd like to think that I offer a good one. I care about the schools. I think we need to focus on them. We need to focus on our transportation and our transit, and we need to focus on economic development. I'm ready to do all three of those things, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about going out and selling Prince William County to the rest of the state, the rest of the nation. We are a great county, and it's time that we stood up and took that place. You know, we're the second largest county in the state, and it's time we became a regional player. And I believe we can do that with the right leadership in place, working together, vision, integrity, and inclusivity.
First of all, thank you, Northern Virginia Community College and the Princeton Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. Thank you, Amanda, for doing this. And Democrats will have you believe that vote only Democrat. If you don't vote Democrat, it will be a vote against. Republicans will have you believe it will be simply the vote against. We have been trained to vote red or blue, but yet 43% of the country, as per Pew Research, says we are independent. And almost 60 to 70% of Northern Virginia says they are independent. Why are we scared to vote independent? We have the power that's above red and blue. Let's go purple this November. Let's vote purple and make the difference. We can bring the leadership that's innovative. When we vote for the parties, we're voting for the special interests behind them. They have hooks that make them dance like puppets, that make them do things that you might not like. You will hear everything that you want to hear today, but you will not get everything that you want to get tomorrow once they're in the office. So take that and look at the history we have. We have had chairmen come and talk to us about different things. How much have they delivered? We have had supervisors come to us and talk about this. How much have they delivered? Because there are parties that are associated with them that have vested interest in certain things. So when we look at things, look at, do you want to give one party the control of the board? Do you want to have the party in charge and give them the chairman gavel also? What can that do? We have seen that in the national award drama that plays out. Look at this really seriously. In the end, I will say, this November, make a big difference.
I heard an alarm out there, I hope it wasn't mine, but that does mean it's time to wrap up. Candidates, I want to congratulate all of you on a very civil conversation tonight.